Good morning, Flyers, and welcome to the 30th and final episode of In the Kitchen from Tyler Garofalo. 3 years ago, I piloted this segment for Flyer News Remote, and I've been keeping at it ever since. This episode of In the Kitchen is going to be a highlight video of all my favorite moments for the past 3 years of doing In the Kitchen.
Crack, splat, make an omelet. Crack, splat, make an omelet. Make an omelet, make an omelet, make an omelet now. How?
My first episode of In the Kitchen was some sort of mac and cheese dish, and it actually aired as a story before it aired as a segment. My editing skills back then were just top notch, and so was my music selection. Then I made a Thanksgiving episode and a holiday episode, and the bits that I were doing were starting to get really stupid, like I had a bloopers reel for the holiday episode. I tried to get my dog onto the counter for a 2-second bit.
Remember to put your gingerbread house out of reach of pets. And perhaps people too. What?
Then I tried to make meringue for a coconut cream pie, and I made so many mistakes with it.
Second thing I did wrong. That doesn't look anything like meringue if you look it up right now. So, if you're making this at home, do not reference me.
Then I made quesadillas, which to this day was probably still the tastiest recipe. Also, that's cream cheese, not sour cream. Then I made my first NATAS in the kitchen. Then I made mac and cheese pizza, which was bizarre and probably the blandest thing I've ever tasted. Then I tried to edit on Premiere, and it sort of broke my videos, so I've sort of stuck to iMovie ever since. Season 2 of In the Kitchen had to have been my favorite, because I started doing In the Kitchens with some of my friends. This first episode, I made a French onion soup and multiplied the recipe by 8 times, and it didn't fit into the pot.
It doesn't fit.
Sorry about that technical hitch. In the Kitchens with Jack Barry.
That's what we needed the flour for!
No!
What the dog doing?
Is that one slice?
Yeah. From Flyer News, this is Jack Barry.
And I'm Tyler Garofalo.
Safe cooking, Flyers.
Making poutine with Jack, best vegetable gravy I've ever tasted. Then I made mashed sweet potatoes for Thanksgiving and for Griffin and Shay to try on the early bird, and I don't really think they like it. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really like it. Then, second holiday edition of the early bird, which has to be my favorite, we made the spaghetti from Elf.
This was a mistake.
Oh,
Do not try this at home.
Then I made another NATS episode of In the Kitchen where I made Bavarian pretzels, and that beer cheese was spectacular. Then I did a live In the Kitchen on the early bird where Chloe Mills and I made waffles, and then Griffin and Shay tried them, and it was super fun. For the final episode of Season 2, Zach Steiglitz, Jake Kahn, and I tried 5 different brands of mac and cheese to determine the best. Oh yeah, and for this episode, Casey Brewer did my voiceover, and he whispered into the mic the whole time.
6 cups of water to a rapid boil.
I piloted my senior year of In the Kitchen with a video on how to make an omelet based on the lyrics of a song about making an omelet, and it became my intro. Then I made a baked beans recipe with the next In the Kitchen chef, Ria Pagliacci. Then I made a spooky Halloween episode of In the Kitchen where I carved out a pumpkin and edited my intro and outro to be more spooky. For that year's Thanksgiving episode, I made baked brie, and for that year's holiday episode, I created a bake-off. This bake-off was the biggest In the Kitchen project I've ever done. It spanned across 2 episodes, where the winner of the bake-off, I took their recipe and tried to make it myself. I failed at recreating their recipe, and here's why.
Recipe involves making meringue. The last time I made meringue was in the coconut pie episode from the 2020 In the Kitchen, and it turned out just as bad as the coconut cream pie did.
After that, I invited Jack back on the show, and we created an outdoor In the Kitchen. I've always wanted to do an outdoor In the Kitchen, but we kind of cheated in this one because we cooked it indoors and pretended like we cooked it outdoors. I then did 2 In the Kitchens with Abby Fishman, one of which was my mom's famous oatmeal cookie recipe, which I used for the NATAS show. And then I made a mofongo, which was a Puerto Rican dish. Then I made tater tots, and for my final episode, I made a salad at school, which is not what I expected for my final episode. It's been an honor being able to do this segment for the past 3 years, and I've enjoyed every second of it. I can't wait to see what Ria does with it next. And for the last time, safe cooking, flyers.